from Mount Baldy, California.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week on the show, we reveal some of our most embarrassing cycling stories. We're going to talk about some of our own and also some of yours as well.
And I've been laughing for the last 2 hours reading through some of yours. We've also got news that the Tour de France may need to find an alternative finish to the Champs-Élysées, some electric cycling shorts, yes you heard that right, and a bike shop that has shut down because it was too busy. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that the Tour de France may need to find a new final stage for their event as the Paris mayor confirmed plans to spend €250 million converting the Champs-Élysées into a garden.
Yeah, I'm in two minds on this one, Dan, because I'm all for green, kind of pedestrian and cycling-only places in a city, but the Champs-Élysées is just such an iconic venue, it'd be a shame to lose it, wouldn't it?
It would be a shame for cycling because there aren't many iconic places. Champs-Élysées, Mont Ventoux, Alpe d'Huez, there aren't that many, are there? We also learned this week that Mark Hirschi has a new home in the form of UAE Team Emirates after a rather sudden departure from Team DSM. And no one really knows what went down.
We also learned that 200,000 of you tuned in to find out what Oliver Bridgewood's most embarrassing moment on a bike was. Getting dropped by myself, Hank and Alex Patton in the 4 versus 1 challenge.
Now, I personally don't think that should be Ollie's most embarrassing cycling moment. After all, you three are all ex-pros and Ollie isn't, quite obviously. But it did get us chatting on our group about what our most embarrassing cycling moments have been, and they were quite entertaining. Connor's going to get us started. What was yours?
Yeah, I remember it well, unfortunately. It was a second year, with Aqua Blue. First training camp with these new bikes. There's been quite a lot of press. In fact, we're using 3T bikes, one by Chainring, all of that. Turn up at the camp, all the sponsors are there, owner of 3T's there. We go out for our first ride, just kind of an easy 2-hour spin, just to kind of like socialise, get some photos, and everyone kind of seeing us off outside the hotel. Main foyer, all my teammates, all the sponsors there, everyone kind of in one place, and I got on the bike first time and the front wheel just clipped to my front of my shoe and I just went straight down.
With the size of feet you've got, Connor, you should have been ready for that, really.
I should have been. I'm blaming like kind of the slightly cobbled foyer outside the hotel entrance.
It is much worse when you do it in front of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is partly why mine is my most embarrassing, and it came, humble brag here, at the 2011 Tour of Flanders, where I basically had one job, and that was, with about 100 Ks to go, to lead the peloton over the top of the Côte de Trieux, down the other side and to the foot of the Oude Quaremont, therefore leaving my teammates in a very good position. I managed the first bit. I was first of the peloton over the top of the climb for about 3 seconds, and then I stacked it on the corner.
Race over.
Well, I got back on the bike, but I never got back onto the bunch. So yes, basically it was race over, and I headed early back to the team bus. And it's something I'd rather forget, but unfortunately it was on television, and so I'm constantly reminded of it through a GIF or a meme.
Brutal, Dan. Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the other presenters, and Cy, first up. Now there are a few of Cy which we can pick from, but first one's got to be riding through London in a set of Speedos.
Yes, well I was there when he did that, and I was also highly embarrassed seeing him do it despite being in civilian clothing on the side of the road. But there was also the time where he decided he was going to present the World Championships preview show from a hot cafe in a pink t-shirt.
Is that why I didn't get sent a pink GCN t-shirt, Dan?
Well, it's why Cy doesn't own one anymore, or at least refuses to wear one on camera anymore for understandable reasons.
Banned. Anyway, Hank also said that he had too many embarrassing moments to list, but his one is actually quite similar to yours, Dan. He attacked in the Tour of Britain, went off the front of the bunch, straight into a wet, slippery left-hander, and of course crashed into the crowd.
Why does that not surprise me?
I know. It's just standard Hank, isn't it?
It is. That just sounds like a standard day in the life of Hank.
I think when he wakes up in the morning, goes to the toilet, he crashes midway to the toilet.
Alex also has a racing-related one. He said that he attacked in a race with 2 kilometres to go, was looking good for the victory, and as he came towards the finish line, he heard the bell signalling 1 15-kilometre lap still to go. Thankfully, though, he did hear the bell in time, so he didn't do the embarrassing waving his arms in salute at victory, only to find out he still had a lap to go.
Oh, it's got to be the worst moment for any racing cyclist.
Oh, it has,
hasn't it? Yeah. Manon's worst moment, well, that came in her first ever track race when she was going for points on a sprint lap overlapped with the wheel in front and wiped out the entire field. Oh, man on.
There's nothing worse than your own mistake causing a lot of other people pain, really, is there? The good news with all this, though, is that even some of the world's top professional cyclists have very embarrassing moments. Tom Dumoulin, I guess, is a high-profile example. That time in the Giro d'Italia, where he had to stop at the side of the road to release some ballast, shall we say. And then last year, in the Tour of Flanders, Gregory Mulberger of Bora Hansgrohe was in the break. He went through the feed zone, he grabbed his musette bag full of bottles and food, but didn't need much of it. So once he's taken what he'd needed, he discarded the bag. The unfortunate thing was that one of the handles latched onto his brake lever, and because the bag was still quite heavy, it just wiped his front wheel from underneath him.
Oh no. We can laugh at it though, because thankfully Gregory was okay. It was only his pride that was hurt, really.
It was, which does mean that we can laugh when we watch that video now. Check it out online. But yes, hopefully seeing that the pros also suffer misfortune will make you feel quite a bit less bad about your own. I posed this question on Twitter though, and had some rather amusing replies. We're going to go through a few of the better ones right now, and start in fact with Wayne, whose friend decided to send Cycling Weekly Wayne's most embarrassing cycling moments, and they published it, which is great for Wayne. Essentially, what he'd done was swapped out his static indoor trainer for rollers to spice his indoor training up a bit during lockdown, which was fine until he did a Zwift race on them, and when the bunch that he was in swept around a left-hander, he leant to the left and obviously crashed in his own room.
Oh, that sounds painful. You do want to do that though, don't you, sometimes? Oh, and actually quite a lot of these sound quite painful, not least this one from Tom, who pulled a wheelie in front of his mates and the front wheel detached. Oh.
My mate did that in a mountain bike race, going over a little dip. He pulled his front wheel up and I just saw his wheel disappearing in front of him.
About that.
He says he's never ridden since without triple checking his quick releases actually to make sure they're fully tight. Meanwhile, Hunter Ruthven decided to spice up his commute to work by setting himself a challenge. That challenge being get there without unclipping or braking.
Why would you do this?
I mean, that challenge resulted in a fractured collarbone as he careered into a tree, although he does claim that he still had an unclipped or braked, so in some ways it was mission accomplished.
Well, fair play, I guess. Oh, not a mission I'll be setting myself though, I've got to be honest.
No, I don't think that's a very good mission to set yourself, really.
No. A few people seem to have somehow ridden into stationary cars as well, though, something I did as well once. But amongst them, a 13-year-old Colin Little who had his head down, smashing it up a climb and went straight into a Volvo. And the owner was still inside.
Oh no! Oh. Yeah, cars aren't very forgiving if you ride into them, are they? Particularly Volvos, I'd imagine. Jesper recalls when his friend was practicing weeing on the bike, but it took him so long that he rolled almost to a standstill, and as he did that, he passed a farmyard which had 12 people stood there watching him as he rode past them, weeing on their driveway. I never did master that myself, the art of peeing on the bike, and hearing that, I'm quite glad I never practiced.
Oh, that's a brilliant one. Nothing like an awkward toilet stop on the bike. But,
no.
Yeah. Tristan said that he was riding the Etape de Tour and a person dressed as a Smurf passed him on a mountain bike.
That's not going to be good for your morale, is it?
No.
Richard said that he accidentally packed his bag with polyfiller instead of chamois cream. Polyfiller, of course, designed to fill holes.
I don't want to know the outcome of that. I don't want to know. Moving on, Primetz did something that we've probably all been guilty of. He tried to show off on this occasion in front of his 8-year-old kid. He was teaching him how to be cool and leave a black rubber skid mark on the tarmac and pulled the wrong lever, Dan. Pulled the wrong lever.
Our producer, Mike Reese, once did that on a shoot in Nice in front of a restaurant full of people eating outside. Very amusing for us, not for him, of course. Adam Tranter said that he was doing the Tour of Britain support race when he was a junior, and with 1 lap to go, he was in 4th place, doing really well, at which point he heard the sound that all cyclists fear hearing, that hissing of a puncture. So he raised his arms, pulled over to the side of the road, and when he stopped, he realised both tyres were fully inflated, and all it was a leaf that had got caught in his brake caliper.
Oh no. I think I'd have carried on as usual. I'd have pretended I'd have punctured, got the front wheel out.
Not admitted it. Yeah, good idea. Maybe I would have done that
on.
if I thought quick enough as well.
Oh, Anyway, I love this next one from Romeo, who midway through a 100-kilometre sportive decided he wasn't feeling great, so he turned off and he decided to complete the sportive on the 60-kilometre route. Then he finished the event and crossed the line to quite a lot of applause from the crowd, and the announcer declared him the winner of the 100-kilometre event.
Oh man,
bit of a mix-up.
Not the sort of thing you'd think about, I'm presuming, when you change routes midway round at a sportive. Moving on to Neil, who was on a cycling holiday with some mates and said good morning to a wheelie bin, strangely enough. And what I loved about this tweet was that the Wheelie Bin Foundation wrote back to thank him. Anyway, as you can all imagine, many of the replies to that tweet centred around not being able to unclip at junctions and the like. One of which came from Emily, who had this happen to her at a pedestrian crossing, and she was so tangled up in her bike that onlookers had to help her back onto it.
Oh no, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
It is embarrassing,
It is, yeah.
Although I don't think it should be, because until that's happened to you, you're not really a proper cyclist, are you?
No, it's happened to us all really, and it's going to happen to you if it hasn't happened to you. So
well, it will do, yeah. If it's never happened to you, it's coming.
It's coming
one day.
So prepare.
And I think you all know what's coming now. We want to hear your most embarrassing cycling stories. Please leave one of them, if you've got more than one. Actually, put as many as you want in the comment section down below, and I very much look forward to reading them once this show comes out.
Yeah, anyway, now it's time to check back in with Hank as he continues with his Veganuary challenge. Over to you, Hank.
Yes, thanks guys. I'm into my second week as a vegan. Whoop whoop. Yep, and I haven't broken any rules. I mean, I did come close because I got some corn mince and it had egg white in. So luckily I didn't have any of that. But nevertheless, I haven't broken any rules. I've stuck to the vegan plant-based diet and it's all going rather well. Energy levels are really good. I'm still maintaining indoor training, which I'm doing on the turbo, but also some strength work, and I've chucked in some variety in there. So I've been doing some runs from 5k to 15k. My sleep has been pretty good. I'm getting to about 7 to 8 hours sleep. I'm in the green zone on my Whoop, so that's a big plus in itself. So at the moment, everything is looking pretty good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a bit more vibrant. My diet, and when I cook, there's a lot more colour in there. Loads of vegetables, loads of rice, loads of quinoa, loads of tofu, and different aspects which are giving me that protein source that I need to sustain my training. Now, a lot of you have commented on my last video, on the episode 1 and on the GCN show, making sure I'm getting the right nutrition in. And in order to track that, I'm using apps. So I put in all my food from that day, everything I consume, and that way it shows me how many calories I've taken in. Also, I can work out how many calories I've burnt from my Whoop. And it also shows me, how many proteins, how many carbohydrates I've taken in. So that way I know I'm getting the right nutrition in. And I have really enjoyed experimenting with different foods. But this week is going to be more experimental because I'm doing some risottos, I'm doing some mac and cheese, vegan edition, and it's my birthday today, so I'm hoping that I'm going to try cake. But don't worry, because my mum said she would cook me a vegan cake, which has worked out really well. So I'll let you know next week how that tastes. I haven't had a cake without eggs, so that could be quite interesting. Anyway, all is going well. I'm feeling good, I'm feeling healthy. Haven't lost any weight as yet, but I didn't really expect to 2 weeks in. I've done a fat test, I've done a body composition test, I've also done a blood test, so I'm waiting to get the results from that. So at the end of the episode 2, I'll be able to compare all those results. So stay tuned, keep sending in your recipes. Thank you so much for the support, and hopefully I won't break any rules. But all is going well. Right. And now to do some training.
Next up, your weekly GCN Inspiration. All you've got to do to win yourself one of 3 prizes each week is upload your most inspirational cycling photo or video to the GCN app, and we'll pick our favourite 3 each week.
Yep, and third place this week gets a copy of the Plant-Based Cycling book, something I'm sure Hank is reading a lot of at the moment.
getting recipe ideas and all sorts.
Yeah, and the winner of the book is Graham T1 with this shot of fresh snow at 5:30 in the morning, Dan.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a spooky, eerie shot, isn't it?
It is a bit.
Yeah.
Would you say that's inspiring? Would that inspire you to get out on your bike, Conor?
I think it would, because on such a kind of, dark morning in the winter, it's easy to just stay in bed, isn't it?
Well, I look forward to your message at 5:30 tomorrow morning with a nice picture, as this has inspired you to emulate Graham. Second place this week gets themselves a GCN Cool Blue t-shirt and the Plant-Based Cyclist book as well. And it is Roger Bjorn. Spent some freezing hours with my wife in the snow to end my year and my distance goal of 10,000 kilometres. Finished with 1 kilometre extra. Oh, that's dedication, isn't it?
That's a bonus, isn't it?
How
Great
white
shot.
it is there.
I know, all the snow on the trees. Did you like to finish your rides if you were like a kilometre away? Did you always try and round it up?
Yeah, I did. I always had to go just over the,
Really?
or on the round number or just over it. It'd go round. Although in latter years, it was more about hitting power numbers, so sometimes I'd just put my brakes on. It's really sad. Anyway, first prize this week is the classic sweatshirt in black and white, the cool blue t-shirt and the plant-based cyclist, and the winner is...
It is Dominic, D.M, on the GCN app. Winter in Poland has been mild so far. Beautiful forest near Krakow in Poland. Cheers, Dominic, for that one. That's amazing.
It is amazing. I'm glad we ended with that one. I like the glimpse of sunshine, which I think we all sort of literally and metaphorically need in our lives at the moment. Mid-January coming up, still feels that there's quite a lot of winter to go in the Northern Hemisphere, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
can't wait for spring, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of visualising riding towards the sun, exactly like Dominic in this photo.
At 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
I guess you will be riding when the sun eventually comes up, Conor, about 2.5 hours later. Right, just a reminder that you can get involved ready for next week by submitting your cycling photos or videos to the app, so make sure you do that.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we'll start with news of cycling shorts, specifically ones that zap your legs.
Sounds intriguing, Conor. Tell us more.
Yeah, well, the shorts are made by UK-based startup Impulse Cycling, and they use a mixture of artificial intelligence and electric current to literally zap your legs to improve your performance. Now, they're supposedly going to kind of stimulate the muscles, just to kind of help you out a bit.
Right. Sounds very interesting. Although, given that the UCI won't let pro riders use socks that are too long, I'm not expecting to see these in the pro peloton in the near future. But I reckon we should get Ollie Bridgewood to try a pair on.
So you can get electrocuted whilst he's getting dropped.
Yeah,
Hopefully you have a
both
remote.
at the same time. Anyway, moving on. Last week you'll remember that we were talking about the news that Olympic athletes in Tokyo this year would have to quarantine for 2 weeks before their event. Now the IOC has since moved to quash those rumours and said that although there will be strict COVID-19 protocols in place, athletes won't have to quarantine.
Now, this news will come as a relief to those who want to target both the Tour or the Giro Rosa and then go on to ride in the Olympics, as I'm sure many of the sport's top riders will want to do. Now, the news also came in conjunction with confirmation that the entire UAE Team Emirates squad have received a COVID-19 vaccine, specifically the Chinese Sinopharm CNBG vaccine.
Moving on anyway to some news that was a little bit sad over in New York because the Enyaq bike shop, not sure how you pronounce that, is it? Enyaq bike shop.
Nyack.
Regardless, it shut its doors to business after being in business for a very, very long time. So the owner is 72-year-old Jim Skelly, and he shut it down for reasons that you might not expect.
Yeah, Jim decided to close his doors because demand for bicycles just became so great due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He was consistently working 14-hour days, and it just got a bit too much for 72-year-old Jim, and the fun had kind of gone out of the store for him.
Yeah, it is a sad day because it was a bit of a mainstay from what I understand of the cycling scene over there, but understandable. He wants to go into retirement. Apparently Jim's more than capable of pulling out a 100-mile ride these days and can get to the top of Bear Mountain, so I think I know what he's going to be doing in retirement, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy it too. But just goes to show how popular cycling has become during the pandemic, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and good luck, Jim. Hope you enjoy those rides. Now, to finish cycling shorts, we have news that probably shouldn't be news, really. Under 23 Belgium cross racer Justin Lavens recently came out publicly as gay in an interview with sportnu.be.
He did, yeah. And as Conor just said, it's news that really shouldn't be news in 2021, but the fact is that in cycling it is. I'll read out a quote from sportnu.be. Justin said, being out in the sports world is difficult, and I hope that I can set an example for other athletes, for riders or for cyclocrossers who may still be hidden in their shell. We're going to give massive applause to Justin for the decision he's made and the courage that he has displayed in coming out in that interview, which he shouldn't really have needed to do. Like I said, it shouldn't be news at this point, but the fact is, I can't think of a current male pro or a previous male pro who has been openly gay. Cycling's not alone in this. There are other sports that have the problem, but I think that what Justin's done there is not only going to help future male pro cyclists, but also potentially current ones. So very well done to you, Justin. Hack/Bodge of the week now. Conor's fairly new to this, as you can see. Definitely not your most embarrassing cycling moment though, by a long way. Let's start though with this one that came in from DSTA. Odd bits of wood laying around, so made a tool storage rack. What do you think of that?
I think this is great, Dan. I think it's very smart. I think it's a hack from me for sure. I mean, my tools are definitely not organised like this.
Well, I don't think you can judge it by what your own garage looks like. I mean, for me, it just looks like a few planks of wood with some hooks put in. Guess it is neater. It's a hack, but only just from me.
Okay, hack from me. So the audience also agree with us, Dan. 89%. So
wow, 89%.
Yeah, a very popular hack. Fair play. Moving on to the next hack or bodge from Fast Tony 78. Now he wanted full-length mudguards, but he only has a lefty fork on his slate, so he's modified a PDW front mudguard to fit, which still allows him to use 30mm of suspension travel, and he's now got 37mm mudguards fitted, which I think is pretty good. I'm gonna say hack.
Are you?
I am.
Well, I'm going to definitely say hack for that one.
I know, but the proof needs to be in the pudding, Dan. You know, mudguards are kind of a tough one.
In what way?
They can look right. They look right on the bike,
yeah.
But is it going to work? Is it going to stand up?
There's nothing more infuriating than a rubbing mudguard.
Exactly, and I just don't know if just the one arm is going to hold.
So is it a reluctant hack from you?
It's a reluctant hack, but I need to see proof.
Well, I'm going for hack. 90% of you went for hack with that one as well. 2 hacks so far. The next one comes in from Llamas85. My daughter recently moved up to be a Girl Scout cadet and wanted to earn her woodwork badge during lockdown. So she thought of a project and settled on building a bike rack for a nook in our garage. The bikes used to be stored leaning up against each other side by side, making it hard to get bikes in and out. So she did some research on modifying and found Hank's bike rack. She's inspired by Hank.
Brilliant.
That's got to be a better job than Hank did though. Surely it looks great.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a better job than Hank.
It was a hack from me.
For one, she's got way more bikes on her rack than Hank. So
yeah. Great job.
Yeah.
Hack from me, hack from you.
Oh yeah, total.
And
total
unsurprisingly,
hack.
almost unanimous, 96% saying hack. So
wow.
Very well done to you.
That could be some kind of record.
Yeah, all hacks so far. Come on, let's see where we've got a bodge.
Okay, right, next up. Now, okay, this one could be a bodge, Dan. This is from Ep.418 SMT. Park tool / Babulous. Bike work stands are useful for many things besides working on bikes. So it looks like they've had a bit of a freezer issue here, and they've decided to modify their bike stand, put a hairdryer in it, and try and kind of
Just trying to accelerate the defrosting of their freezer.
Yeah.
I'm sure that works.
I think this photo is just the definition of a bodge, really, isn't it?
It doesn't really strike me as very environmentally friendly.
It doesn't.
No. Oh, well, I don't know. It sort of does the job, doesn't it?
If Stacey caught me doing
hanging
that,
around. I mean, would you be able to get your food back in before it defrosts? I don't know. I'm going to go bodge just because we've had hacks all the way through so far.
Yeah, I think that's a bodge.
Okay.
Yeah, if Stacey caught me doing that, I'd be in trouble.
Well, most people thought that was a hack, 69% to be precise. Right, moving on to the next one, which came in from Chris, father of 5, that's his username. I don't know that much about him. Homemade bike rack. We struggled keeping bikes organised, so I cut some old PVC.
Yeah. I think this is a bodge, Dan.
Do you?
I think.
Well, they're all stood up, right?
They're all stood upright, but that PVC looks a bit harsh on the tyres.
You think they might risk punctures? Also, it's not very versatile. You can only put mountain bikes in that.
Yeah, it's true. So, you know, the last thing you want is putting your bike away and getting a puncture.
Well, yeah, exactly. All right, saying Bodge, are you?
I'm going to go Bodge again. Yeah, I'm going to be mean.
I'm going to go with Hack, just so I don't disagree with the majority, which was 74% on that particular one.
Sorry, Chris, father of 5. Brilliant effort though.
Right, let's finish then this week with this one that came in from Greg Linsdell. A linking time saves 11. So literally 100 miles away from any bike shop and the plastic derailleur cable plug gives out. That means no gears and stuck in the Tasmanian wilderness. Sacrifice a chain link and you get an A-grade substitute. Not sure which lube to use now though.
Oh, this has got to be a hack.
That's a grade A hack, getting yourself out of trouble 100 miles away from a bike shop, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Ingenious.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of it. I'd still be probably sitting there in the verge wondering what to do.
Well, you'd probably have carried on riding just with one gear.
Yeah.
In your sort of 39 or 53 by 11, knowing you, Conor. Well, 85% of you went with a hack on that one as well. Don't forget to get involved ready for next week's show. In fact, next week's hacks are already up on the app, but for the following week, you can upload them now and hopefully they'll be featured.
Okay, right, time for caption competition now, where you guys have the chance to win an elite GCN water bottle like you can see here. Now, to win, all you have to do is comment below with your caption on the photo each week. Now, the winner of last week's caption competition, Medium Rick, cornering Van Kessel.
Very good.
It's a good one.
Medium Rick. Of course, that is Corny Van Kessel. Coming to grief at a cyclocross race very recently. Get in touch with us on Facebook with your address. We'll get the bottle sent out to you. This week's image is not of a professional rider, anymore at least. It is of Manon and Conor swapping bikes for some reason out on a shoot. What's going on here?
I'm not sure, Dan, but I think I'm going to revise my most embarrassing cycling story.
Well, is that your cycling? Is that your caption for this week?
I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah.
Let's go with that. Manon and Conor reveal brand new most embarrassing cycling moments. Looks weird, doesn't it? Like both bikes got the same size wheels.
Yeah.
Makes you realise how bizarre it is to have the same size wheels at two such different heights, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I could barely ride Manon's bike and she could barely ride mine. So
I'm not surprised.
Didn't make it far.
Right, get going with your captions in the comment section down below and we'll pick a winner this time next week. As ever, we picked out a few of our favourite comments to read out before we get on to what's coming up on the channel over the next week. Starting with this one underneath last week's show from Rob Bob Penny. Go on a group ride in the UK. On the day national lockdown comes into effect, the GCN curse strikes again. So yeah, that was one of our recommendations for challenging yourself in 2021. The show came out on Tuesday after we recorded it on Monday. Tuesday night, we went into full lockdown, didn't we?
Whoops.
Sorry, guys. Hopefully later in the year.
Yeah. Now the next one is from Tim W, GCN. So, Ollie got dropped in our last video. What can we do about that? Ah yes, a 7-minute video rubbing salt in the wounds will do.
Yeah, this of course was one of many hilarious comments underneath the video on why Ollie Bridgewood got dropped in 4 versus 1. Mark Brim also commented underneath, Ollie is the Shimano 105 of GCN. For the people, we love you, Ollie. I think you might be sorer.
Well, I had a brilliant time reading through all the comments about that video. Actually. It was hilarious.
I'm surprised you get through all of them because it's about 2,000.
Yeah, well, yeah, as many as I could. But yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you.
I just skimmed past any that didn't take the mick out of Ollie.
Now, last up from Gladand. Did Ollie have spaghetti with meatballs before shooting?
Well, let's have a look at the clip that comment relates to.
Yeah.
Foolishly, I agreed and brought it along. And I had winter tyres, that's at least 5 watts.
Not sure what Ollie ate. We'll ask him, won't we? Anyway, moving on to what's coming up on GCN over the next week, starting on Wednesday, where we will be showing you how to keep your hands and feet warm, which is also very important when you're out riding, isn't it? Particularly this time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, and not that easy to do. On Thursday, we've got another high intensity interval training, should I say, a session for you to do on GCN training. And then on Friday, our top 10 new accessories that every rider needs.
Yep, then on Saturday we have our cadence race, so 50 RPM versus 100 RPM, which I think is going to be an interesting one.
It will be a very interesting one, yeah. I reckon 100 RPM, surely.
Do you reckon? I don't know, man.
I think that should have been 50 versus 120.
Oh, it's still time to change it, Dan.
Oh, is it not filmed yet?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think 100's it's in the comfort zone for a few people, isn't it?
Anyway, moving on to Sunday, and we will have how to set your saddle height and what's it like to ride a wooden bike. That was with Twomper Bikes.
It was, yeah. Yeah, so I went and rode one, so you can find that over on GCN Tech. I'll be back with the Racing News Show on Monday, and one video that I missed, in fact, on Thursday, also on GCN Racing, are the top 12 Neo Pros to watch out for in 2021. These days, youngsters seem to be winning big races left, right and centre, don't they? So you should definitely watch these guys and girls. Right, that's all we have time for, I was about to say, on this week's GCN Show. We've got all the time in the world, of course. It's a pre-recorded show, but we'll end it there. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please click on the thumbs up button down below.
Yep, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to try and walk home now without embarrassing myself. I think I am.
Good luck.